Guys,
Hello, how you doing? I'm Dan.
this is my buddy Dan Skidds, man. Once again, thank you for tuning in to AgentandBrokerTraining.com. Again, this is just specifically geared towards helping new agents or even older agents, seasoned agents, just get better at what they do. We're helping you become a better agent than you were yesterday, right? And experiences like this that come from everybody, in these podcasts or in the interviews, stories that like Dan has, hopefully inspires you. There's always going to be somebody like you here at HST that has gone through a lot of similar things that you're going through right now, and hopefully this stuff just helps you out. But anyways, Dan, thanks again, buddy. I appreciate it.
No
So
problem.
so tell me, man, tell us your story. Tell everybody how you came to be a partner here at HST.
Sure. Okay. When I started, I had a beautiful corner office down in off of Michigan Avenue, and I was a national sales trainer, and the company closed their doors on us and just shut the office down and didn't pay me my last paychecks.
Oof.
So this was 2013. It was like August, and I answered an ad on Craigslist and drove down here for an interview. And I said, okay, I want to get this done because Obamacare started, and it was right before the open enrollment, the first open enrollment. So I knew the industry was going to be changing. The whole health insurance industry was going to just go onto its head, and it's still on its head. That's the other thing. I mean, just because we started years ago doesn't mean that it hasn't started. We still have a lot of pain in the industry right now. So for me, it was a desperate time. I mean, they owed me like $3,000, and I was behind on bills, and I needed to get this done. And so I said, what do I have to do? Well, you have to go to a pre-licensing course in Illinois, and you have to go into this classroom. And I took the test. I went to the 2 days of testing classroom with Jim Richardson, and then I studied on Friday, and then I took my exam on Saturday, and I passed.
Friday, then Saturday.
Then Saturday, and I passed.
Wow,
I had to move fast, so it was a real desperate time. I didn't have any. My wife was still working at the time,
mm-hmm.
and so she was supporting her half of the bills, but my half of the bills were starting to lag behind, and it was a desperate time, so I had to move fast. And then there was a mess up at the Department of Insurance, so I didn't get my license right away. It took 30 days for me to get my license.
Doesn't that always happen that way? You're like always ahead of the game, wanting to get things
Yeah.
done and right away, and there's always something that's going to stop you, or something that somebody else messes up. It just stops you in your
We
tracks.
had to make phone calls, figure out who had my application, where was it, what desk was it on. Oh, he's out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So I had to move. I had to make money. So I called up my national, and I said, what can I do? He's like, well, you can start prospecting, and then if you find anything, bring it to me and I'll close it and I'll give you the commission.
Okay.
And I did. So I just started knocking on doors on restaurants. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no insurance knowledge other than I went through the class and I went through new agent training. And as soon as I got a new agent training on Wednesday, I started knocking doors on Thursday. And I wound up getting 4 or 5 clients within 2 or 3 days of period, knocking on doors, set up appointments. Had Jeff Zymet do a screen share with me and on my cell phone on speaker, and he's closing the deal, and I sold $20,000 in 10 days.
Oh, wow.
Without a license.
I had a license, everything was all set, and it took me 30 days to sell my first one policy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he got credit though, because it was under his license,
Right.
and he was the agent. But I had to move, and then I immediately as soon as the deals got closed, I came down here. He cut me a check. Here you go, and I had to move. So
it sounds like you had an idea of what the insurance industry was all about. Like you knew Obamacare was coming. Mm-hmm. Were you a health insurance agent before, or tell me what you did in previous life?
I'm a retired fireman paramedic.
Okay.
I was a fire chief, and I retired, and I started right during the Depression, the Great Recession.
In 2008?
2010 I retired.
In 2010. Okay.
So it was rough to build a resume where I wasn't going to be a fireman any longer. So I had to get into sales. So I started working at used car lots, and then I started working at door-to-door sales, doing energy, and then I became a regional with the energy team, and then I became a dual regional and started teaching people how to make sales. So I had the sales background, and I had the resume for that. But so when it came to health insurance, I didn't talk health insurance when I was prospecting. I mean, that's the thing a lot of people think, is that they got to load all this knowledge in their head before they can talk to anybody. And I believe that to be 100% untrue. I think if you're able to build a relationship find the needs and the wants, the pain that we talk in Sandler. If you can find those things, you can set an appointment. And then you bring that to your leader. And your leader will design the strategy and the platform and actually do the presentation for you. Some leaders will close it for you. And it's important that you build the relationships. I think that's what we do. We don't sell insurance. I think we build relationships. Because the products are changing. A couple of years ago, it seemed like the products were changing every 6 months. Today they're a little more stable.
I joke with my clients on the phone. I tell them, the industry changes like we change our underwear every day. There's always something new. That's why we have a job. That's why we have a stable job.
It's still going to be true, because once Obamacare becomes repealed, what are we going to have? We're going to have a need for brokers again. And we're going to be bigger than we ever were, because we have to undo what's been done to figure out where we're going to go in the future. So that's going to be a big movement in our industry. So as new agents, don't give up thinking, I missed the window. You didn't miss the window, because we're still in the window. And
everything's still going crazy.
Oh, it's still going crazy. Right. And when there's more pain in the streets, there's more money to be made.
So it sounds like the first way you got your clients was the walking and talking, knocking on doors. You didn't do the phone right off the bat. It was more of the walk and talk.
Yeah, I immediately.
Why that route as opposed to on the phone?
That's what I was used to, because I was used to doing door-to-door sales. So I was able to knock on doors and introduce myself in a very short fashion. So I was used to that. I had to learn inside sales, and when I got injured, that's all I could do was inside sales. So I had to become good at it. And that struggled with that my first month when I started.
When did I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm sorry. I'll ask the question. Go ahead. Okay. I was thinking about something and I didn't want to lose it, but I still have it in my head.
So I had to learn inside sales. So my first month after I got those sales and I was walking talk, I said, okay, now I'm going to try doing inside sales. I was terrible, because I was trying to sell over the phone. I wasn't trying to build a relationship over the phone. So I was putting a lot of pressure on these prospects and turning these suspects into nobodies. I mean, they were no clients after I put so much pressure on them. So then I started using the Sandler system of learning how to build a relationship and ask a bunch of questions and build that camaraderie that we would develop together. And then I would do the presentation on the next phone call. When I started doing that, that was in December of 2013. And by the time March came around, I hit Superstart. I was a Superstart winner.
So my question was, I know that you had an injury, a knee injury. When did that knee injury happen relative to when you started?
Sure. So this happened in November of 2015, October of 2015, right before the open enrollment for that year. So I was actually in a cast or in a leg thing during the open enrollment and had surgery during the open enrollment. I was in the hospital Monday through Thursday. I came home on Friday and I closed some deals because I was behind. And it was, if you ever been through an open enrollment, you don't want to take time off during the open enrollment.
Never want to take time off.
And I had to have 2 surgeries.
That's just amazing, because if we were in any other industry and we had a knee injury like this and you had to be at work, clock in, what would have happened to you if
I
you
would have lost my job?
Exactly.
I was so incapacitated. I was in a wheelchair and I had to have the surgery, the complete surgery, twice. So I was in a wheelchair twice and had to learn how to walk twice. I couldn't sit like I'm sitting right now. I had to sit with my legs straight and big ice pack on it and stabilizations and jumping from the chair to the wheelchair. If I was working in any other industry, I would have been beyond the Family Leave Act. I would have been beyond everything they could have done for me. I would have lost my job.
Were you working from home or did you go to an office?
I was working from home. I was in my recliner with my arms and had my table and working like that.
Nice little Bluetooth.
On my Bluetooth and just making money. But I really believe that if it wasn't for HST, I'd have a bankruptcy or I'd be on welfare.
So it's funny. Just maybe like 6 months ago or something, you had posted a picture of a truck that you just bought, and it was something you said like this was one of my goals when you started it. What other goals did you set for yourself?
I set up an RV, a truck. I wanted to travel the country, building offices and stuff. So I haven't gotten to that point yet.
But we're on our way.
But we're on our way. I was planning on going down to Florida and opening an office in Jacksonville, and bringing my RV with me for 3 or 4 months during the winter. So I thought it would be a good idea to post those pictures on the hub, just so people realize that you set goals. You set a weekly goal, you set a monthly goal, a quarterly goal and then a big long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, I needed to make $500 a week. So I worked my tail off until I got paid, and I kept track of every sale, how much it was, what was the commission, what was the AV, and I kept it in a journal.
Mm-hmm.
And every sale I made, I'd make sure I got it all written down and figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And I would work my tail off until I made that $500 advance.
Yeah.
And I think in the first 5 months when I was working that goal, I missed the $500 maybe once or twice.
Really?
Yeah. So
You're way better than me, man.
I was just plugging away as hard as I could, making inside sales.
I felt like I was a slow cook.
Yeah.
Like I started off really, really slow. My first sale was a month in. My second sale was 2 months in.
Oh, wow.
And then
I wouldn't have made it.
And then once I got like traction, like I was like, everything just got easier. It was like exponentially easier.
Yeah.
Once you get it a few times, you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm pretty good at this stuff now. But, tell me, I know you've mentioned a little bit while you were talking now, but what kind of business do you think we're in? Do you think we're in the business of sales, service, or marketing? What do you think?
I still think it's relationships.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's relationships, and that deals with a lot of what you just said. It deals with sales. It deals with, we do a lot of everything. Service, because I have to service my clients. Marketing, I have to let people know what I'm doing and how I do it and why I do it. So I think if you were to lump that all together, I think it would be we're in the business of relationships.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
It
Instead
does.
of just tearing it apart, I think you can combine it together and say we build relationships. Because a relationship, as you know, being married, you got to do all those things. You got to be able to, be a hard guy, then you be the soft guy. You got to get a maneuver and change the way you are in the relationship, and you have to work together. Because I always tell my clients, I don't have all the answers, because all of a sudden there can be an executive order and all the answers I had were gone
out the window.
So now I got to change my answers. So I always tell my clients, we're in this together until we get through this, until we find a stable platform of health insurance, which I think is going to be another 5 years.
It's going to take a little while.
It's going to take some time.
It's not
I
easy
don't think it's ever going to go back to the way it was before Obamacare. Because I think once the government's involved, the government's going to stay involved. Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to become a Medicare type of situation, or it's going to become kind of like what we had last time, but we get some monies or subsidies. I'm not sure what the future's going to be.
I've read a little bit about that, but I try to stay away from it until somebody says like this is the actual.
Yeah, this is the actual happening.
This is the actual happening.
But I think being a broker is the only way to go in health insurance. If I was a health insurance agent with 1 or 2 products to sell, I probably would have quit, because it gives me the freedom to design a plan, a strategy for that prospect to be exactly what they need. I don't force people into a plan. They tell me what they want and I make an advice. Like I had a guy who was up north in Wisconsin who was a logger. I sold him a short-term policy and he was like, okay, thanks, that's good for me. And I said, you're a logger. You need Accent Medical. You need AME.
We've all seen the show, the logger shows. Where
it's dangerous.
Crazy is work that they have to do.
Right. I said, you need AME. Because he always went with a $5,000 deductible because he was well off. He had good money. And I said, no, you need AME. And I pretty much forced that on him.
Did you?
And he called me up 2 months later.
Let him make a choice. You're forcing the AMEs on them, man.
Yeah. So he called me like 2-3 months later and he thanked me.
Yeah.
Thank you for the AME.
What happened?
Thank you for the accident policy. He had a tree break off and come down and break his shoulder. He had needed a surgery.
Oh, there you go.
And this AME covered his deductible and then gave him a little bit extra money on the side. And it really helped him quite a bit. And he thanked me.
I had an AME policy when I fractured my ankle a couple months, 2 years ago actually, and it paid all my bills. The only thing, you know how we had that $250 deductible?
Yeah.
I don't even remember paying it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know where.
They take it off the end.
Yeah, but I don't even remember like coming out of pocket my money.
Right.
I don't know where it went, but anyways, that's
AMEs are a great product for young, healthy families or people who think they're healthy. Because
people in dangerous jobs,
dangerous jobs. My son, last Memorial Day, he stepped off the edge of the basketball court, broke his ankle, boot, cast, therapy, everything. $4,800 later.
That's exactly how much my bill was.
Yep. So we had the AME. We submitted our claim form and our bills to the AME company. 2 weeks later, we got a check. We paid the medical bills. So sometimes you kind of have to push a little bit on those products, like the main major medical products. I think those are they explain themselves.
Yeah.
But some of these ancillaries, you kind of got to push or bring stories into the game.
You have to tell stories.
Yeah, tell stories.
You have to tell. I'm sure maybe you bring up the knee story every once in a while, how I should have had or I had an AME type of thing. When you're selling supplemental products, how do you present it? Do you say, this is all in one package, this is the price, or do you give them like, this is how much this is how much this is?
I'm learning how to, I'm using Top Broker right now.
Okay.
So they have a quote sheet. It's a fantastic product, design of the CRM. And the way it's working is you can develop these quote sheets where you develop these bundles, bundle A, bundle B, bundle C. Normally I do an ACA at the high price, then I'll do a Nat Gen with a moderate price with all the ancillaries, and then like a United with the ancillaries. And I let them choose.
Does it break it down?
It does.
How much each plan is? Okay.
Yep.
So,
well, it breaks it down to what each product is, but then gives you a bundle total.
the total price. So you say, this is your plan, this is the bundle one, this is platinum plan or middle of the road, and you know, economy plan.
Economy plan, and then it gives you the price for each one, and then they can pick and pull what they want or don't want. Well, I don't think we need a critical illness, we're pretty healthy. Okay, that's, I mean, here's what it does. This is why you may need it. No, I think we'll go this way. I go, well, I do recommend the AME though, because you have kids.
I see.
If you have kids and they play sports, you gotta
Just
have
kids in general.
Just riding their bikes, you know, playing basketball on the weekend.
You got a trampoline at the house, you better get an AME.
You need an AME, yeah. And even if you have a $2,500 deductible or a $1,000 deductible, you can get a $2,500 AME. So it depends on what your prospect presents as. Now, if they're in their 50s and 60s, cancer, heart, stroke. Just because. I mean, they can tell you, well, we don't have any cancer, but you cannot tell me you can never have a stroke. A stroke can happen to anybody. It doesn't need family genetics or, you know, any history and stuff like that.
In an instant, you hear these stories about, Jesus, I had one of my fraternity sisters, we're in a co-ed fraternity, she had an aneurysm, and you know, you just never know when that kind of stuff comes. Anything can happen to you.
She was probably young too.
Real young. She was like 22 years old.
Yeah. So there's certain times when you want to push these ancillaries because it is what's best for the client. But again, it comes down to their decision. You know, if they say we really can't afford it.
Our job is just to tell them what their options are, right? Because if nobody tells us what our options are, we just never know what's out there.
Right.
Right.
Or exists, and you know, or if they have a little convincing, I think stories help. So if you don't have stories, get
Steal
some
somebody's
stories.
stories.
Get some stories.
Somebody's stories, yeah.
You can use my son's story playing basketball, stepped off the edge of the court.
$4,800.
Yeah, $4,800.
But you got to let them know that it was an emergency room. There were X-rays. There were nurses, towels, physical therapy, all that stuff.
Cast, walking boot.
All that stuff adds up to $4,800.
Yeah, real fast. And I have a $5,000 deductible with an HSA, so I always carry a high deductible, and then I pay for everything with the HSA. But this AME kicked in because I didn't have $4,800. I just paid taxes, you know, and all of a sudden, holy Christ, what am I going to do, you know? And that AME kicked in, and it was like,
that's it.
All done.
Good,
yeah, it was a good deal.
So now, Dan, I know we've been in the business for a few years now, and you know we're still producing. It's something that naturally we do. But now you're doing more of the leader stuff. You're hiring, recruiting, and training. You know, tell me when did you make that switch? When did you decide to become a leader, to become a recruiter, trainer?
Probably about a year and a half ago. And the reason I decided to do that is because there gets to the point where you know, you're good at selling and everything's working out, but you want more. For me, it was more because it was getting almost, I wasn't stagnant. I was just like, okay, I got to do this again. You know, it's like any job where you're all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I need a new breath of life, you know, something new. And I said, well, let me try recruiting. I can share my story, share what I do, and see if other people can become successful doing it. You know, but it's a process. It's not easy. I just can't take everything in this head and just transfer it to my new agent. They have to go through a process, and they have to understand that I believe that if you become too much analysis or too much information all at once, you're going to become confused, and then you're going to become paralyzed. So I think you got to start learning how to make relationships first. You can use Sandler and learn how to build relationships, and then bring me that information, and I'll set up the strategy for you. What products are going to work for that scenario. And then you're going to learn how to present. So it's not so much you have to present right away or you have to know all this insurance knowledge, because that insurance knowledge can change, as we talked about. So I think you have to really build your foundation on relationship building, appointment setting, and then you can always get answers like from the hub. People are always asking answers on their questions on the hub about product. And these agents have been around for 2-3 years, and they're still asking questions.
It's impossible for everybody to know everything about every policy, But if we
products.
work collectively,
Right.
as one central hub, one central brain, then it's easier.
That's where the product knowledge to me is not as important to learn right away, because you're always going to, the products are changing constantly, and you're always going to be able to ask questions. And I think that's where, if as a new agent, don't get bogged down thinking you need to know all this product knowledge before you can talk to anybody.
I call it practical knowledge. Like doctors go through years and years and years of studying what's in the books, right? The last 2 years of school, they're actually in the hospitals or doing the actual work. And all the doctors say that's where I gained all my knowledge, those last 2 years when I'm actually doing the work, right? So you're telling your agents, listen, just you don't need to know how to present at the moment.
Right.
Know how to build a relationship with the client, gather the information, bring it back to you, and you'll close every single one of them.
Yeah. If you bring me a qualified prospect, I'm selling them something.
See, for all you new agents that are looking for a leader, he's guaranteeing you some sales.
I have a very high close ratio.
Awesome.
Because I don't work that hard. I like to work smarter, not harder.
At what point do you say, okay, we've done this several times, now it's your turn, like go try it yourself?
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times? Okay.
I mean, they can always call me, what's the strategy? What do you think we should do? I'll be bang, 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 add this to it, use this product, go out and check some prices, between NatGen, United, and HII or something, figure out which one's the best, but I think this product would be the best for them. And I'll do the quotes with them on the computer together, and then say, present this to them.
I see.
But always present one that's really expensive, and then present them the option you think they're going to take.
Okay.
The one you will really approve of.
Why do you do that?
That gives them the ability to understand that you're not just forcing that one bundle at them.
I see.
Give them options. Give them a high option, a medium option, a low option if you can.
But always go high first.
Always go high first.
Okay.
Always say your ACA policy is going to be at $1,200 a month, but I can get you a United short term with an ancillary and dental for $360.
What's the saying? It's easy. It's easier to go down. It's not easier to go back.
Yeah, you can't go up. You can't go up in health insurance. Unless they're a pre-existing condition or something where they need the ACA.
Yeah.
But ACA works for us in selling the short terms, and that's all I do. I probably 90% of my business is short term.
Short term product.
Yeah.
You sell against the ACA. You say this is what this is all about. Good, bad, ugly. And this is everything that's good, bad, and ugly about it.
And I think you're healthy enough, you can qualify for short term.
Right.
Here's a MEC product, a minimum essential coverage if you're worried about the penalty, or you can file for hardship. And I really get into strategizing with again, it's a team effort. I'm not just a salesman. So get them involved too.
Sandler, you're listening, right?
You're listening.
Okay.
Getting to know them and then working together as a team to make this strategy happen. So whenever they call me with admin stuff, it's never, hey, you sold me this. It's, this is what we have, this is a situation I have, what do we do? And we do it together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And with that comes all the referrals, right? Treating them right.
Yeah.
They know you.
Right. Yeah, referrals are wonderful. That's the golden goose.
Right.
When you can start getting referrals, it takes about a year. When you start getting referrals, don't stop prospecting though.
You can never stop.
Because you're only going to get maybe one referral every 2 weeks. So don't think that it's made in the shade. You got to keep prospecting, but when those referrals come in, that's when you're going to have your good weeks.
So, so tell me, was there anybody in this business or in a previous life that had influenced this career as an insurance agent? Is there somebody that you looked up to that?
No, I just saw the opportunity with Obamacare starting. There was no mentor. My leader, Jim Novak, taught me Sandler and stuff like that, which was a big help because I was so used to the Zig Ziglar style of selling where it was present, close, and then fight objections. And he taught me Sandler, so that was a big difference in this industry, learning Sandler and following under his guidance. But when it came to somebody motivating me to become an insurance agent, It was just pure Obamacare. I saw the window, I saw the opportunity, and I was right.
Is there something out there that that you think agents should know about? Is there a resource out there that can maybe help them learn on their own, like you did, without any support? You know, like is there...
Right. You need you need a foundation. I think Sandler's a good one.
Okay.
If you're able to, there's some videos on YouTube called the Sandler Sales Scripts. There's got to be 47 videos, and they talk about the pointers of don't spill your candy in the lobby video.
Wait, where can we find these videos?
On YouTube.
On YouTube? And we just look up
Sandler Sales.
Sandler Sales. Okay.
And you can see the YouTube videos, and they're about 1.5 minutes long each. And there's like 47 of them.
Oh, okay.
And they're put on by the Sandler Sales Institute. And it just gives you the rules of Sandler. Why are you listening and why are you asking questions? And it tells you why you're doing that. Never present during an interview, because you don't want to be muddying the water when you're trying to get the pain out of somebody.
I see.
You don't want to be presenting. You can give strategies or ideas to keep them moving along.
Little seeds.
Yeah, little seeds. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it sounds like you guys are healthy. Huh? Okay, there's some plans you can take that are healthy. Okay. And what else is going on? What kind of prescriptions do you take? Things like that. As you're moving along, what I call the interview, because they need to know they want to work with you, and you got to know if you can work with them. Do you have an idea? Because there's a lot of times during the interview, I'm working up quotes, right when I'm talking to them. I'm working up prices, going, okay, they sound like healthy, okay. Short term, all right, what's United got?
Okay.
I'll start
while you're gathering.
I'm gathering, I'm still writing my notes.
You get like 3 hands. Like,
yeah. Right.
That's awesome.
Yep, it's cool. Yeah. So I think when it came down to a mentor, I had one that was teaching me Sandler, that was Novak, and he actually went through the sales process years ago with Sandler's sales system, but he shares it with us now, and I think he teaches that during New Agent Training.
That's what I was going to say. He does it during New Agent Training, but he also has a weekly
call,
webinar call, right? That people can tune in.
Does some role playing stuff like that, and it's really good foundation. Even if you use a lighter version of it, at least you understand the milestones you have to hit, why you're doing what you're doing. And I think if you understand the foundation of it, it's going to work for you.
So 2 more questions. I'm going to keep you up because you probably cost like $1,000 an hour. And I think we've already taken up 30 minutes. But let's see. Geez, I had a question. I just lost it. But
deal with Sandler, deal with...
It was something good, and I just...
It was something
good.
good.
Something really good. You distracted me with such awesome stories. But, I know what it was. Is there something that you've done in your career that you totally bombed at, totally, completely failed, that you want to maybe let them know not to do?
Right. I think when I first started, after I had to start learning inside sales, I was selling and presenting on the first call. And I didn't make a sale for a month and a half, and I was forcing the issue. And I think maybe I was out of desperation, or just because I didn't want to use the Sandler, listening and asking questions. I was pushing and selling. I was selling while I was talking, and if you're talking and you're selling, what's that phrase? If you're talking and if you're selling, they're not listening.
They're not listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think my first month and a half when I was a new agent, definitely don't do that. Ask questions and listen.
So it was a big change when you flipped the switch.
When I flipped the switch.
I'm not selling you something. I'm telling you what your options are. This is my service. It felt more comfortable. I guess they're the clients on the other side of the screen. They sense everything that you're feeling, right? So if you're desperate, they know that I'm not going to buy something from a desperate person.
Yeah, and he's presenting me with stuff and showing me options, and I don't even know what the option is, and I'm undecided, and they get confused. And when you present, well, how about this idea? And then I'll show you this one, and I'll show you this one. And when you're a new agent, you have all these new toys, and you want to play with them, and you want to show people your toys, and you want to, work the toys and make the sale. And I know that new agents do that. I'm sure they do, because it's like having all these new toys you want to play with, and you want to get out there and make sales, and you have all these quoting engines and everything else. And so I think when you stop doing that is when you're going to find success.
Right. This slow it down.
Yeah, slow
Keep
it
it
down,
simple,
relax.
breathe. You know?
Ask questions and
Listen to them.
do not do a one-call close.
Yeah. Oh, that you don't do that. How tell us?
As a new agent.
Okay.
I do it now because I can.
You got the skills.
I got the skill level.
Yeah.
But as a new agent, do not do a one-call close, even if they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
Tell them you'll do it tomorrow or later in the day or something, because something's going to happen where they're going to be a bad client later and they're going to have a chargeback because they weren't 100% clear on what the one-call close presented. They just bought because it was cheap. Oh, here's another thing. Don't sell on cheap. Sell on value. So don't give them the products that are the cheapest thinking it's going to be a good deal. If they don't have a budget for a good product, they're not going to be a good client. They're going to fall off and you're going to get a chargeback.
A friend of ours, Matt Peebles, he says that too. He's like, if you're going into the sale assuming that they just want the cheapest thing,
right?
You're going for the wrong client.
Right.
You're going for the wrong client because they're the same type of client that's just going to shop around every week.
Yes.
And next month
chargeback.
it's going to be a chargeback, and you don't want those clients, right?
Yes.
But if you sell them if you show them the value in the product, that person is probably going to buy something as expensive or even more expensive if they see the value in it.
They see the value. So sell on value, but don't present during your interview. That's
key.
Yeah, key. Listen and don't do a one call close as a new agent, because you're just going to have a chargeback later. I think you're going to miss something, or they're not going to be 100% comfortable with the product, and they're going to cancel.
It's just not enough time in the first call to explain to them how everything works, right?
Yeah.
For them to be comfortable with it, right?
And also for them to absorb it and understand it and make it part of their lives in a one call close. During the open enrollment, that's a little different story. That happens all the time.
You're more of like order takers.
Which I don't like being an order taker.
Sandler does what you just said. Sandler says, listen, it's okay to tell me no. Right? I'm a big boy. You can tell me no. You're not going to hurt my feelings, right? And that kind of alleviates the pressure, right?
Right.
Oh, I can finally tell him. I can tell him no. He's not going to be mad at me. Right. And when you tell him, listen, we're not going to do anything right now. I'm going to go back, and tomorrow at 3:00, I'm going to tell you what I found. Right. It alleviates the pressure. Like, okay, I didn't have to buy anything on this call.
Yeah. He was really pushing me. Don't push.
Right.
Set the appointment for tomorrow or within the 72-hour period. And say, I'm going to go do some research. I'm going to bring you a couple options. You can decide. Yeah. No, again, no sales pressure. You get to decide what you want.
You're almost relaying like the confidence. Like, listen, it's okay. I'm not going to sell you right now because I know I'm going to sell you later on.
Right.
I'm that confident. My stuff is good. My service and my product is good. So go ahead and talk to somebody else if you want. But we're talking at 3:00 tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. And occasionally some borderline type of suspect that will fall off, but that's okay. You don't want them anyways. Yeah. Because guess what? It happens all the time where they go and they find something cheap for $87 a month. Give them a month, all of a sudden they call me back. Oh yeah, I chose this product. It really stunk and they didn't pay anything.
It's like an old girlfriend. I'm sorry, I did this to you.
And I'll also be like, can you show me that product again? Yeah, no problem. I can do that.
Well, Dan, like I said, I don't want to take up a lot of your time because it's costing me a lot of money. But
yeah.
But is there any final words you want to say to new agents or agents out there that maybe you think are some good?
Just try everything when you're marketing yourself. Give out, let everybody know what you do. Email a newsletter, email an announcement, get on Facebook, go to meetings, 3-foot rule. Everyone's got to know what you do, and let everyone know that you work with HST. And if you don't have the stories, get the stories from the HST people. Our stories are your stories, and make sure you get yourself out there. And remember, don't present during the first phone call. Use your Sandler, and have the confidence that you're a broker, and you're going to be able to do what's right because you're building relationships. You're not selling anything. So that's my advice.
Cool. Thanks, Dan.
All right, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Have fun.